Mansfield Campion. I'm XD Squadron 22 SAS.
Don't worry about me, let's get it on.
Yes, I was in the SAS. Yes, I've been on television. But yes, I've also had some major problems in my life.
It don't matter if he's no good at maths, or it don't matter how much money he's got in his pocket, because you've got to wear exactly the same as he has.
God, I've got to try not to get emotional here.
Just make sure you save one for me and slap me in the head before I go, like, do you know what I mean?
I've just blown your marksmanship principles out of the water!
Everything changes in perspective, do you know what I mean? A pound isn't worth a pound anymore, do you know what I mean? It's not worth anything, in fact. You're not going to buy anything for a pound in a situation like that, are you? Do you know what I mean? It's no use to man or beast. You know, if in terms of sort of like your own safety and your own thing, well, you're now in a situation where the rules have completely changed. If I want to plunge something through your head, I'll plunge it through your head. In the same score, if you want to plunge something through mine, you'll plunge it through mine. Do you know what I mean? And the rules of these normal rules and constraints that we live in as normal people are completely gone. Completely gone. Do you know what I mean? There's no rules down there, is there at all? That's what I think. That's what really struck me really hard. Is like actually, when a push becomes a shove, it is completely lawless. Even in Northern Ireland, once you've got into a sort of like firefight, or if you were contacted or blown up, once you've gone through what you were taught, actually it came straight back to normal really quickly, didn't it? Do you know what I mean? You were governed. There was you can't go in that house and kick someone's head in. No, you can't. Do you know what I mean? But in Sierra Leone, the rules weren't there. You know, obviously, you know, you've got the Geneva Convention, and you know, you sort of like have those constraints. But the normal rules from which everyday life exists for us here aren't there anymore. And I found that so many different emotions about that. In some ways, I found it liberating. I thought, you know, this is great. Do you know what I mean? In other ways, I thought, this is actually, wow, this is actually, anything could happen to me here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so there's a lot of mixed emotion about stuff like that. Your body in a typical operation like that goes through so many different feelings in one day. It's unbelievable. You know, you're in the Glad to Be Alive club if you come out the other side. There's the sort of like the bit before when you're sort of like, oh, you've got a little bit of disco leg perhaps on the helicopter, like, you know what I mean, thinking about it. There's the bit where you're sort of like, you're absolutely fuming, you're going through, you're absolutely focused and dead set on your orders and thinking, what am I going next, where am I going? You know, I had a lot of anger when I found out that Brad had been killed. I'm like, you bastards, give me another one, like, do you know what I mean? Let me have someone else. Do you know, there's so many emotions in one day, but at the end of that day, you were absolutely, you know what I mean? So, you know, when you talk about, and I've never really done it at that level, when you talk about these guys, you know, when I went to Syria and I went on that front line, and these guys have been doing that for 48 days non-stop when I got there, 48 days of that every day. Not being in the Glad to Be Alive club, perhaps at the end of it, do you know what I mean? Dealing with all sorts during the day, all those emotions. I mean, by the end of a stint on there, you could proper say you'd been to work, like, do you know what I mean? That's a proper stint, that, isn't it? You know, they were caught in this thing whereby, you know, a lot of them had committed crimes elsewhere. A lot of them had done this. A lot of them have fought at one side. Some of them have been trained by the British at one stage. Some of them have been in the RUF. Some of them have defected from here. So you had a hot melting pot of absolutely everybody in that country. Contained within that horseshoe was absolute lunacy. Like, do you know what I mean? Riddled with these people giving themselves names like, you know, Colonel Drop Dead and all this sort of ridiculous things that they called themselves and that. Do you know what I mean? Just absolute beggars belief what was going on in there, really. And, you know, an environment where you think, you know, this is anything can happen. You know, I was making pacts with friends of mine that basically said, if this does come on top and we lose this and you see me getting dragged off, well, just make sure you save one for me and slap me in the head before I go. Like, do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to be dragged through West Africa, used as an ashtray for 6 months and become someone's spittoon for another 6 months before they kill me in a gruesome way. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, I actually took my Leathermans out, my belt kit, because I thought if I do get caught, I'm not having somebody playing about with that. Do you know what I mean?
Was it Fodim Casse was their leader?
Fode Calais.
Fode Calais,
who went to prison, got back out again, and is now a devout Christian in the centre of Freetown.
But that tells us a lot, doesn't it? That fucking we could have avoided that death and mutilation. Bloody hell!
Yeah, and he's a devout Christian now. I think he might even be a minister of some description, and he knocks about in Freetown somewhere. I was hoping to go and interview him. I wanted to make a documentary over and we had it all teed up, but the COVID absolutely knocked it sideways. So I don't know, maybe I'll get the plan resurrected again one day and go over there and meet a few of these people. Because Moosa's still about. Moosa's still, I think he went up the ranks. Moosa did. He was the corporal that was in the sin bin in the village. I mean, he got some treatment, that geezer did. And I've never seen somebody smiling as much in my whole life when they got him out of that pit. He really was the happiest man alive, and he'd had some proper treatment. He'd been through the mill. There's still a lot of people cutting them out over there. And I've got a friend who does palm oil over there. He employs quite a few people. He says everybody claims to have been there and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like the badge of honour over there. It's like, yeah, I was there. I was bullied at Sky News. This is insane. I was actually picked on at Sky News. We made such a good job of that Big Phil's War that the likes of Alex Crawford and who's that other one, Ramsey, complained about it. Why are you using him? Why haven't you sent us? And I said to Eamon Holmes, didn't I? I said to Eamon Holmes, why? You know, when you watch football, Eamon, I know you like football. When you watch a pundit on television, who would you sooner listen to? Someone who's played football, like, say, Gary Lineker or Alan Shearer, or somebody who's talked about football? I said it makes sense to have somebody who's done it. So when it's a war zone, it's no different, is it? Would you sooner listen to the guy that's been there, seen it, done it, understands his way around, knows how to talk to the troops, or would you sooner see the person that's got their body armour on, ill-fitting their helmet over here somewhere, you know, cutting about, you know, going, oh, it's an explosion. No, it's not an explosion. That's a mile away. Do you know what I mean? And I just, you know, it was to my own detriment. I think I did too good a job for them, because they all sort of like edged me out in the end, farmed me out to that program called The Pledge, and then upended me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. No, I'm quite happy talking. I'm quite happy, you know, doing this sort of stuff. I can do it. Like I say, it wouldn't be my choice, number one choice job, but you know, you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you? Realistically, now, I mean, I'm the same shape as an egg. I shouldn't really be cutting around doing too much on battlefields, although I have been out of the Ukraine since this all started. I've met some extremely cool people who aren't famous whatsoever as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's, you know, when I think some of the coolest people I met on the planet, you know, with the original SAS guys, of which there's very few of them left now, and you would speak to them, I could never ever get enough time with them. Do you know what I mean? I would divert anything. I would rap on a TV interview all day to get 10 minutes with an SAS veteran of that caliber. Do you know what I mean? Of the originals, you know, Rocky Blake, people like that. Unbelievable stories they had to tell, and I could sit with them for hours. You know what I mean? And all right, you know, stardom doesn't really impress me. Never has. Do you know what I mean? I do know a lot of famous people, you know, but some of the best people I've met in my life have been these veterans that I've met, you know, like Rocky and that absolute diamonds of the earth. Do you know what I mean? You know, I'll correct someone if they call me a hero. I don't like that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But it's the way I make my money now. So, you know, I've stepped into a world that now I've got to follow through, you know. But yeah, there is some tremendously humble guys within that organisation, tremendously humble guys. And I feel personally privileged to have served alongside and to have met many of them. Like, you know, when I think that, you know, I've met people who, you know, the big thing when I was a kid, the great big thing was the Iranian embassy. Do you know what I mean? And when I think down, and I've sat down and drank with loads of guys who were there now, do you know what I mean? I think to myself, that's just, you have to pinch yourself. To me, that's like a small kid meeting like David Beckham or someone. Do you know what I mean? For me, meeting people of that caliber who you can sit down and have a conversation with on the same level, because you've sort of like you've achieved something similar. You know, we both passed selection. That's a crazy thing to do. Do you know what I mean? And when you're a young soldier and you're aspiring to do stuff like that, you never think that door will ever open to you, or you'll never think, I'll never. But yeah, the belief to get to that stage is what's kept me going. You know.